Tonight on Bridge City News, the federal Liberal Party has tabled a motion after weekend negotiations as to how to hold Parliament during the pandemic, and it will be debated in the House on Monday. Great news for fans of the Lethbridge Farmers Market as it reopened today at Exhibition Park with a few restrictions still in place. And community members from Raymond and Lethbridge teamed up today to make a young autistic boy's birthday extra special.
Your nation, your province, your southern Alberta. From the heart of Lethbridge, it's Bridge City News with Paul Arthur.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. It has been a couple of months now since the Lethbridge Farmers Market at Exhibition Park was forced to close, and to the delight of both customers and vendors, the market reopened today, albeit with some restrictions still in place.
These first couple markets are a trial period for what these social distancing measures mean to the farmers market here in Lethbridge. The first thing people will notice when they come in is a line control outside. So we are doing social distancing in line, and we are letting a limited number of people into the site today. We did start with a 50-person capacity in here, and we quickly realized we could take on a lot more. As more vendors come into the market over the next couple of weeks, we are going to continue to monitor the capacity number that we allow in the halls to make sure that we're not congested inside and still can maintain those social distancing measures. The response we've got from the vendors has actually been really positive on the social distancing front and some of the new measures. As we always do in the spring in May, we have a smaller number of vendors, and this week we have 39 vendors, next week we're at 50 vendors, the following week we're at 58 vendors, and then we're into the 60, 70, 80 through the summer. So we will gradually grow into the June markets where you start to see the major produce vendors and greenhouses here at the show. But we do encourage everyone to come out and support the local producers and businesses.
With the COVID-19 restrictions, it has been a tough haul for those planning weddings, graduations, and birthdays. And for one young autistic boy in Raymond, Alberta, this is the second year in a row that he would be missing out on a birthday celebration. But when bikers building bridges and their friends at the Commandos Motorcycle Club got wind of this, that all changed. Earlier today, over 100 motorbikes and antique cars did a drive-by past the young lad's home, with locals and neighbors turning out as well.
Last year was a little rough. One of their sons missed his birthday because Dad was having medical problems. He was in the hospital. So this year, they're doing it up great. And everybody came out. It's amazing what social media can do. Because that little boy's just been going and going all morning, and we had all the cars and all the motorcycles go by. It's so good that everybody wanted to do that to make this little boy's day special.
Well, and the nice thing about it is everybody that knows the child was able to come by, drop off a present, see everybody around, and then head out. And the ones that have a tie towards the child were able to stay and watch all the cars and motorbikes. And I know from my point of view, I am very thankful and very happy that of the amount of people that came out to actually see everything. It was just phenomenal.
What a great gesture. That'll make for one memorable birthday. Alberta Premier Jason Kenney shared some welcome news yesterday. As of Monday, restaurants and hair salons in Calgary and Brooks will finally be allowed to reopen their doors. Shop opening in those two cities was delayed last week due to high COVID-19 case numbers, but Kenney says new statistics show it is now safe to open.
We have the lowest level of hospitalizations, the lowest level of ICU admissions, and the lowest level of deaths per capita amongst the large Canadian provinces, and we are far, far below the level experienced throughout most of the developed world, and we continue to lead the world on testing. And so I am therefore pleased to announce that on the advice of Alberta's Chief Medical Officer for Health, we are proceeding with the next phases of reopening businesses and services in the communities of Calgary and Brooks. This means that on Monday, May 25th, hairstyling and barbershops will be permitted to reopen in Calgary and Brooks. Cafes, restaurants, and pubs and bars can also reopen for table service at 50% capacity this upcoming Monday. In terms of the next phase, phase 2, I believe that we are on track. We have said that our target date is June 19. our public health experts want to continue keeping an eye on the numbers to make sure we don't have sudden outbreaks and sudden surges in hospitalizations.
Alberta Opposition Leader Rachel Notley says the Premier should step in to reverse a decision by the province's energy regulator to suspend most environmental monitoring. Notley says international investors will pull out of the province, costing jobs if Kenney doesn't take action. Companies no longer have to monitor fumes released by burning or look for and repair methane gas leaks, and surface water no longer needs to be tested unless it escapes into the environment. There's movement in Ottawa from weekend talks on how to hold Parliament during the pandemic. The Liberals have tabled a proposal that would see expanded parliamentary meetings to discuss the government's response to COVID-19. The proposal is laid out in a motion that will be debated in the House of Commons on Monday. The motion proposes to add an additional day to the weekly meetings of the Special COVID-19 Committee, which have been acting as a sort of stand-in for the Commons. The motion also proposes 4 sittings of the House of Commons in July and August, each with a question period. Hertz has filed for bankruptcy protection, mired in debt totaling $18.7 billion. The 102-year-old car rental company's lenders wouldn't grant it another extension on its auto lease debt payments beyond yesterday's deadline. In late March, Hertz cut 12,000 jobs, put another 4,000 workers on furlough, and cut vehicle acquisitions by 90%. But analysts say the cuts came too late. Manitoba Hydro says the blockade at the Kiosk Power Project is costing the utility $1.7 million a day. The First Nations chiefs blockading entry at 3 points around the site over fears hydro workers would introduce COVID-19 to northern Manitoba say they don't want to endanger anyone's safety. On Monday, a judge issued an injunction allowing RCMP to remove the blockades, but police say they only plan to respond if safety is put at risk. Air Canada is revising its cancellation policy after a backlash from frustrated customers, but is still not offering the full refunds tens of thousands are demanding. Instead, the airline is now offering travelers the option of a voucher with no expiration date or Aeroplan points if it cancels their flight due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Air Canada's previous policy capped travel vouchers at 24 months with no Aeroplan option. One of the 2 survivors of yesterday's Pakistani International Airlines plane crash near Karachi Airport says 3 landing attempts were made and that the aircraft made a sudden jolt. The jet went down in a crowded neighborhood, killing 97 people. Mohammed Zubair crawled his way out of the smoke and rubble and was eventually picked up and rushed into an ambulance. 8 people on the ground were injured as well. The heated debate over whether it's safe to reopen places of worship continues south of the border. White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany is defending President Trump's decision to push for churches to reopen.
Is it safe? And if it's not safe, is the president trying to encourage that, or does the president agree with Dr. Birx that people should wait?
Jeff, it is safe to reopen your churches if you do so in accordance with the guidelines, which are laid out very stringent detail here about promoting hygiene practices, and there are 5 bullet points, and cloth face coverings. If social distancing is not possible, it's recommended. Intensifying cleanings, promoting social distance, we lay them out meticulously. So I am thankful that we have a president that celebrates the First Amendment. The same amendment that gives you all the ability to ask me questions is there to have the freedom of worship, so imams and pastors can go to their churches, can go to their places of worship, and can celebrate what is a First Amendment right in this country, which is to pray to your God and to practice your faith.
And we celebrate that. We're not asking you if the president or people are allowing Americans to pray. That's the
to gather in their places of worship, to attend church services, to pray together. And the president has laid out a clear path. The CDC has laid out a clear path for this to take place, for our First Amendment to be exercised in a way that is safe and robust. And that is something that is a good thing, and I'm thankful that we have a president who celebrates the First Amendment and helps it to be celebrated in its fullest and most robust way possible.
The British government has told schools to start reopening some classrooms starting June 1st. Children aged 4 to 6 years of age will be among the first to return, and that has parents nervously asking each other whether they'll be sending their kids back. Teachers' unions say it's not safe for staff, children, and their families, and worry about a spike in COVID-19 infections. Others argue it's impossible to eliminate all risk, and school closures are exacerbating education inequality. New coronavirus cases in China fell to 0 today for the first time, but cases surged in India and in Latin America, both in countries with more relaxed lockdowns and those with early and strict lockdowns. As for nations around the world affected by war and poverty, the simple act of washing their hands is a luxury, and aid groups say about 3 billion people cannot wash their hands at home. Communal gathering points for water distribution have become key places where COVID-19 can spread. There are concerns that global funding is being rushed toward possible vaccines and treatments without any real commitment to prevention. Recapping one of our top news stories, the Federal Liberal Party has tabled a motion after weekend negotiations as to how to hold Parliament during the pandemic. It will include 4 sittings of the House of Commons. The motion will be debated on Monday. And a look at weekend weather, partly cloudy tonight with a 30% chance of showers and a low of 4. A nice looking day shaping up tomorrow, sunshine and a high of 20 degrees. Depending upon who you listen to, you may hear that Canada is a nasty polluter. Well, according to a recent study by the Fraser Institute, that isn't necessarily the case. Elmira Aliakbari has the details on Canada's international environmental rankings. That's coming up next.